I'm Dan.
And I'm Chris.
And we are the Geek All-Stars. We're here today to do a first play, second play of FiveTribes by Days of Wonder and Bruno Cathala. The object of the first play, second play is to give you an opinion of a game after we played it the first time, and then again after we played it the second time, to see how the changes over time. Sometimes when you play it first time and you don't get a good feel of it, you may have a bad opinion of it, but this way at least you'll get 2 plays out of us.
Right, and you get to listen to us even more, right?
That's right. Now keep in mind this is not a how to play video at all. We're just going to give you a straight opinion after both the games. If you want some good plays on how to play,
please check out Rodney's Watch It Played series online, and also Joel Eddy does a great job with drive-thru reviews.
So like I said, we'll be back after our first play. Neither one of us have played this yet at all. We'll be back after our first play to give you some more opinions. So we're done. We finished our first game. Chris beat me 173 to 64. What'd you think?
It was after the mixed reviews that some people were giving it at Gen Con, and having played it, I don't see why people would think it was very negative. There's a lot of decisions to be made, and you have to realize we're playing a 2-player game, of course. So a 3- and 4-player game, I think, would definitely be different.
Now, in a 2-player game, you actually get 2 actions per each round, so each person is going to get an action. So jockeying for player order is pretty important because you can get 2 actions in a row, which is huge because that's going to give you automatic control of some of these tiles.
Right.
Some people, the big negative people were saying is AP as you go. Now, you really have to plan, so I could see if somebody was crazy AP, but you got to push those people along. Towards the end of the game, things are going to slow down because you're trying to eke out each individual point. But I don't think it didn't take too long.
No, I mean, what, we played it a little over an hour?
Yep.
Yeah, a little over an hour, and it didn't feel long. It didn't feel like it overstayed its welcome. Again, the 2-player aspect, I think, really, for this game makes a little bit of a difference. I think, honestly, there's probably more AP in a 2-player game than there would be a 3- or 4-player. Now, we can't say that outright because we haven't played a 3- or 4-player game. Right. But the nature of how you're placing everything out, there's only so many options. Well, I can say there's only so many options, but if you're going to sometimes react to how your opponent moves the meeples around on the board. And in a 2-player game, I think there's more planning long range because you can go back-to-back turns. In a 3- or 4-player game, you're basically going to be reacting to what's on the board. So I think that it probably all kind of comes out or susses out. But as a 2-player experience, I mean, I got to see combos. I got to we both went 2 different routes. He was trying to go for the little white meeples that allow you to buy gens, which give you powers. And I went for these little dudes here, which in the end, that's what won me the game, because when you have the most of these, you get 10 extra points at the end of the game. Plus, they're worth 1 point apiece.
Right. And it's 10 points per player, so it's going to be even more important in a
3- or
4-player game.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting because to see how much that would vary in a 3 or 4. Obviously, we're not going to play a 3 or 4-player game; it's just going to be 2. But I could definitely see how this is going to be a lot of fun with a lot of people. I do like the different powers that the Jin give you, and I like planning. You know, you're getting an ability off the tile, and you're getting ability off the meeple, which is really good to be able to do all that. You know, getting all those different powers and chaining them together. So it'd be interesting to see how, since I gave you about 8 or 9 points in the first play of the game, because I set you up pretty good. It reminds me of like the dot game you played as a kid.
Oh, yeah,
you're trying not to set up the other person the whole time you're playing. So this would be cool to see how, now that we know what we're planning for next game, we're going to go ahead and set it up and see how the second play goes.
Yep.
All right, so we're back after our second play of FiveTribes. It was quite a bit of fun again. This time I managed to win.
He crushed me.
It was crazy how different things do. It's funny how we just said, not even like 10 seconds ago in this video, how AP really shouldn't be a big deal, but we actually went crazy with AP in this one because knowing more, I think, makes it, there's more for you to know, more for you to do. You know, you're planning a little bit ahead, so it was...
Right, and we were trying different combos and things this game as well. What was interesting to see how the ending shook out rather, is that in the game, you can collect these trade or good cards. They come out during the game, and you can collect. They're not really collecting sets. You're collecting different types of goods, and they have different rarities that are on the bottom of the card. So I was playing the game where I was trying to do combos with my gens that I got, and able to put these palm trees out for Oasis. When you get at the end of the game, they're worth 3 points apiece. So I'm like, I was just populating as many palm trees as I possibly could, and I wanted to play the game. Not really paying attention to selling these off with the merchants. And Dan was collecting a ton of these.
Yep.
And that's really, I knew at the end, I was like, it's going to be shaken out that he is going to win this game, even though I had more camels on the board for control and bigger points and everything else.
You had 3 more camels, and you had about 30 points in palm trees. I don't think I had any in palm trees, but I managed to get about 73 points at endgame for the goods.
I mean, that was, what was your end score again?
209.
209. So that's what, more than, that's 40% of your score right there. Yeah.
It was. I really enjoyed it a lot. This is really a great game. I think I really can't wait to see it with 4 people because everybody only getting 1 move a turn.
It'll change it. The 2-player is kind of cool. Knowing the game now, playing it twice as a 2-player, I could start to see now how the scores can shake out, especially with Dan going after the goods cards. I could have done some blocking. I could have tried to make it not easy for him to take merchant actions. So there's a lot of things you can do on the board. And also, since every single game is set up differently, I mean, the board's set up differently, the way the meeples come out are different. Every single game is going to be different. You have to play this a million times to have the same game twice.
And that's really good because just seeing how the first few turns shake out, we had we purposely, in the first game I purposely went out of my way to make sure there wasn't 3 of the same meeple on there just to make it a little change. The second time we didn't even try that, and it turned out there was 1 tile with 3 whites on there.
3 whites.
And that gave Chris 2 Jin right off the bat, and they were really powerful Jin. But that was pretty. And
I had to pay for it though.
Exactly. Well, it's also that set up the turn order battle, which was great, which was cool to see. Yeah. One thing I'll definitely say is these Jin tiles are crazy powerful if you can get a handle on them. I mean, if you can get your hand on a couple of ones.
This one was awesome. This is called Kandicha, and in the game you can take the red guys, the assassins, that actually can kill another meeple. And we'll put a pin in that. We'll come back to that in a second. But then every time you do the assassin, you assassinate one of these other colored meeples, you get to take sort of that action of the meeple. You keep the ones that are worth points, or you do the actions of the green and the blue meeples. So getting that early in the game for me was really a powerful one for me. So I was going for assassin moves every single time.
And that enabled you to get more of the yellow and the white, because as you assassinate them, they went in front of you. Right. So that's pretty much primarily how you did that, and you got those points out of that.
So let's go back to killing things. So one thing that we thought when we first sat down to play it, we're reading through it, and I was like, okay, there are slave cards, so they're slaves, and then the assassins. It literally says here, kill 1 meeple. So you're killing not just a thing, a meeple, the cutest thing in board gaming. So you've got slaves and killing in a Days of Wonder game, which is mind-blowing to me. Ticket to Ride, all of their games, well, I guess they do Memoir 44. So they're no strangers to that kind of more of an adult theme. This one it looks kind of like family-oriented, but some of the themes are a little bit dark.
Now, it doesn't turn people like us off. I mean, we're gamers, and we understand it's kind of thematic of the time period that they're putting it in. But I could definitely see people getting a little bent out of shape of that wording of it. So it's interesting to see how, once it gets a little more mainstream. Right now, it's not really widely available quite yet. But where it hasn't hit that wide market. So it'd be interesting to see what kind of flack that comes back. And
I guess it's not too bad because they do have Memoir 44. They did Cargo Noir, and Cargo Noir has some darker elements to it as well. This is one of the lightest looking games on the table, very colorful, but again some of the darker themes. But we don't really have a problem with that. But. So
as we wrap up for our first play, second play, wasn't maybe the greatest iteration of what I was hoping that maybe we wouldn't like it at first or we would at second, it actually it did enhance our like of it, our appreciation of it after the second play. I would have to say that this probably is going to end up in the top 10 for me this year because I really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
I really think people should pick it up because it is a little heavier. Maybe if you're just a Ticket to Ride player, you may not enjoy this sort of thing. But I liked it myself. I loved it.
I would recommend it, especially, component-wise, obviously Days of Wonder. It's a gorgeous game. It has huge replayability, especially for people who like this type of sort of a thinky game. The only caveat that I have to put out there is that you don't play with impatient players. There's no way you can play this game with impatient players because everyone needs to be relaxed and let people take their turn. And so I would recommend it as well.
Yeah, and as somebody said on Twitter today, play with a shot clock. You may have to put something where, if people are getting a little slow, just have a little gentleman's agreement to speed them along. Usually I try to put my self clock on there. If I know I'm taking a little bit too long, just go ahead and go. Because it's not very long. Even that second game wasn't more than an hour or so.
No, it was under an hour.
I like it. Check out.
I would like to prove once again, and I've said this many times, that there are no bad games with camels.
Good point. This is another one that's really good. So check us out at thegeekallstars.com. Check out our podcast, and we'll have some more videos of first play, second play, and let us know how you liked first play, second play.